Welcome to the Total Release Podcast, where letting go enables growth. I have a question for you today, though. When's the last time you've paused long enough to actually reflect on who you were yesterday? We're going to talk about it. Let's go. I emphasize who you were yesterday and what you reflected on yesterday. Not because it's about judging yourself, but it's about measuring growth, because reflection is actually the measurement of transformation. See, most people want transformation without reflection. They want results without release. And they definitely want growth without letting go. But see, the reality is, if you won't let go, you won't get the opportunity to reflect. And if you don't get the opportunity to reflect, then you won't get the opportunity to get that golden seed, the seed that allows you to be transformed, the seed that allows you to see things from a new perspective. See, the truth is, you can't heal what you keep rehearsing over and over again. See, if you ignore what's in the back of your mind based on past experiences or what you perceive to be the truth, then you've trapped yourself into a looping reality, one that does not align with where you really want to go in life. And you can't grow if you're still defending who you used to be. Defending yourself by saying things like, that's just who I am, or that's what I used to be. Well, no, have you done the work to change who you were yesterday? Did you reflect? See, I call this seed the letting go so that you can grow for a reason, because this one seed determines whether you stay stuck in survival or finally step into transformation. That's right. So think about it like this. I want you to think about your personal life story as I share mine. See, it wasn't too long ago when I was stuck in my past pain, past bad relationships, past loss of loved ones, past loss of finances and wealth. And I thought that all I had to do was just keep progression. I thought I knew that if all I had to do was get up in the morning and say to myself, just keep going, just make things happen today, right? Just do what you got to do today. I thought that I was progressing, but I realized that I needed to look back, because if you don't look back and reflect, you don't get the seed, which is actually the lesson, so that you can reiterate and make the necessary adjustments. And so I realized that being busy wasn't necessarily me getting better. So years ago, I was trying to rebuild after losing almost everything, right? We lost homes, we lost money, we lost businesses, and the 2008 crisis was a rough time for my family. But the reality is, I had to take a step back. I had to stop thinking that everything was just going to be okay. I had to stop thinking that all you got to do is work a little bit harder and everything's going to turn around. That's partly true, but it doesn't necessarily always work out that way, because I hadn't stopped long enough to just ask myself the question, what do I need to do right now and what do I need to let go of? See, we struggle with that because we don't want to face the inevitable. We don't want to confront our pains. We don't want to confront the very thing that we don't want in life. See, the reality is, when you experience something, it's no longer just something that's separated from you, because emotionally you've tied yourself to it. And once you've tied yourself to it, you got to address the issue. You have to separate yourself from it and then see, why did you get into that situation from the begin with? And then give yourself some grace. And I had to learn to do that. See, I was carrying pain from my past that kept showing up in all these different situations. Every time I started a new business, the failure or the lack of security I had in myself were patterns that kept showing up again. It was like holding me back, and I just kept holding on to it, because the reality is, I didn't know what to do. When you don't have the tools to work with, you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That's when I learned about reflection and it not being a mirror for guilt. It was actually a lens for growth. Think about that for a second. It's a opportunity and a lens for growth. Let me give you some science behind all this, right? Studies show from Harvard and the University of California that intentional reflection every single day for about 15 minutes increases your learning and decision-making performance by up to 23%. That's right. Every single day. See, being intentional is really what it comes down to, because the brain rewires itself if you ask yourself why. Yeah. I found out some years ago by listening to this doctor, her name was Dr. Caroline Lee, that we can be our own neuroplasticians. So what does that mean? It means that when you take time to review your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions, you literally teach and retrain your brain with new patterns. You actually create new grooves in your brain. So now there's new pathways, there's new awareness. Reflection creates awareness. And reflection really and truly is just being grateful at the end of the day, because when you think about what you experienced yesterday, who you were yesterday isn't who you are today. See, awareness charges and it changes and it develops you into someone new and with a new behavior. And new behavior creates transformation. That's right. So here's the key that I want you to understand. You can't reflect while you are defending that old person or that old pain or that thing that doesn't do anything for you. You've got to release that version of yourself that survived because you were in survival mode at that time. So you can become the version that now thrives. That's right. And so what I want to do with you real quickly, I want you to think about this, because I want to share 4 keys to growth, but I want you to think about yourself as we go through these 4 keys. All right. Key number 1, stop protecting what's hurting you. So many people protect the patterns, the very patterns that keep them from, becoming their new self, by keeping them in the pain that they were once in. They say things like, this is just the way life is for me. I'm not good enough, or this is how I was raised. No, that's not it. That's you in survival mode. That's what your parents may have said while they were in survival mode. And I don't mean that to be, to show a lack of empathy, but the reality is we pass on the same traits and emotions that we have to our children if we're not careful. So growth starts when you start defending or stop defending your dysfunction. So you got to ask yourself, what am I protecting that no longer protects me? Do I need to keep saying, hey, I'm broke, or I don't have it, or I don't have 2 nickels to rub together, or money doesn't grow on trees? If you keep saying that, you're speaking from a place of lack and survival. If you keep saying that, you are creating grooves in your brain that only responds to survival. That's right. So your starting point is you have to stop defending your dysfunction. All right. Number 2, you got to reflect and don't react. You have to reflect and don't react. See, reflection means pausing long enough to see why something triggered you. I get triggered every now and then, especially when it's dealing with my children. When you lose a younger brother, it tends to be emotional when you see your children doing things that actually could, jeopardize their health. Right. And so sometimes I see things and I'm like, hey, guys, listen. And sometimes they respond with, hey, Dad, you're being a little bit, sensitive, overly sensitive. And instead of me responding, out of frustration, which is what I used to do, now I just listen or I ask questions. I'm working on being accepted so that I'm seeking to understand before being understood, right? So if you really want people to hear you, if you really want to even know yourself better, you have to reflect and process what's really going on, because sometimes the intention behind what they're doing or what I'm saying may not be really what it is. And it could be just me being triggered. It could be a fear that I'm projecting. So instead of reacting, take some time to reflect. Do this on a daily basis. It gives you opportunities to be triggered, but it also gives you opportunities to to see something different, because life is going to do that. It's going to give you opportunities to be triggered, but every single day you have an opportunity to reflect, right? No matter if it's the coworker, if it's traffic that keeps you feeling stuck, if it's a spouse or a loved one that you seem to not be relating with really well, or just your past pain, take some time to reflect. I often think about what really helped me when I had a chance to sit down and reflect over my whole, adult life. And it really helped me to extract lessons when I really thought about, in gratitude, how I was able to get through those times. Sometimes we don't pay attention to that. We just see the pain. We just see, hey, things hurt when I went through that. Things hurt when I think about what I went through. But reflection asks the question, well, what did it teach me? Versus reaction, which says, hey, it's happening again, or they're doing it to me again, or they don't understand me, or why am I always unseen, or why do I feel a lack of value? I want you to write this down, because when we reflect, we see something different. So sometimes reflection requires just writing things down, right? Or taking the time to, speak with somebody who can give you good counsel. But I'm going to challenge you right now to choose reflection over reaction. Because when you do that, you reclaim your power. The power comes when you look back at the opportunity to honor the challenges you've been through and extract that seed. See, the seed, when it comes out, it has the ability to be nurtured, and it's actually waiting for you to speak life to it. Like when you extract the lesson from your experience and you speak life and you say, tomorrow is going to be a better day because now I know what to do in this new reiteration, you actually reclaim your power. Reclaiming power is something that we fail to do because we don't understand how important it is to, confront life's issues, to confront what we've had to endure and look at it and separate ourselves from it and say, hey, listen, I see why you showed up in my life today as a trigger, or I see why it happened back then, but what happened to me back then isn't who I am now. You can separate yourself, but the moment you claim it by not separating yourself, you actually become it. And when you become it, you speak it. And when you speak it, you project it onto other people. When you project it onto other people, what you despise becomes your reality. Number 3, release the outcome. See, growth doesn't mean controlling how things turn out. See, you can't control the outcomes in life. You can only control you. You can only control the principles that you've been given, the tools that you've been given to work with, and you can continue to align yourself with those and trust that a higher power knows better than you do. Sometimes we're thinking about ourselves when really the truth is our purpose is aligned with something bigger than us. It's designed to impact lives. It's designed to create change in the world. And the reality is we can't do it by ourselves. So if we aren't patient while things are aligning the way that we want them to be for the bigger picture, then we miss the whole picture. We miss the intention behind it. It means trusting that who you are becoming is stronger than what you are losing. You have to be able to let go of control. You have to be able to release the outcome. See, that job that you didn't get, that relationship that ended, maybe that plan that you had that failed, maybe that was the reality that life was just pruning you, not punishing you. Sometimes we feel like life is punishing us, like as if we did something wrong. It doesn't always mean that. It means, like, one of my mentors says, Myron Golden, he says, God's pruning is proof you are producing. It's actually something to be joyful about when you start to experience pruning. And he's right. You can't multiply what you won't let God trim, right? You think about your plants, you think about trees, you think about grass. Everything grows when it's pruned. Well, so do you, right? So we have to not react from emotion like as if we are victims of our circumstances. It may appear to be that way, but it could be just an opportunity for you to multiply. You may say, hey, I've been doing everything that I know to do. Great. Be patient. I was always told, and I learned over time, that faith isn't, what you say alone. It's how you respond while you wait. Simple as that, because things are aligning and everything takes time. Everything has seed, time, and harvest. Keep planting, keep sowing, keep doing the good work. I guarantee you, you'll start to see it if you don't quit. So release the outcome and you'll see that letting go isn't a loss. It's all about alignment. And number 4, remember, reflection is the real measurement of success. Another person, Mel Robbins, she says it like this. She says something very powerful. The bridge between where you are and where you want to be is in daily action. But clarity comes through reflection. That's right. It's when you focus. It takes a lot to focus away from what makes you feel comfortable even while you're in pain. Right? It takes a lot to focus when you've been locked in survival mode for so long. It takes a lot to say, you know what, I'm done. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Now it's time for me to move forward. I feel something. I have a calling. And even though I'm afraid, I'm going to do it anyway. And so when you begin to do something small, it's the little small things that you can do every single day. Get up a little bit earlier, say a positive affirmation, read a chapter in a book, say your prayer, do your meditation, do everything that you know to do your research on that business that you want to start or that nonprofit that you feel compelled to get started. Do what you need to do every single day and then reiterate. Reflect and reiterate. Because clarity comes through reflection. Jay Shetty says, we repeat what we don't repair. That's right. Right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, guess what? If we repeat what we don't repair, that means that we're not willing to confront our survival mode. That means we're not willing to confront those emotions and thoughts that we had, that we kept, feeding and not making a decision to do something different. So if you really want a better tomorrow, you really got to stop measuring yourself by progress that you can kind of like see yourself in post, right? It's kind of like I can post, all the good things about what I have going on in my life every day, or I can be transparent and vulnerable, right? Nobody really wants to be transparent and vulnerable without going through something and realizing the importance of reflection because they're afraid of what people are going to say. They're afraid that they're going to be judged. They're afraid that if you don't look like the people that you're comparing yourself to, that you don't have value. And value isn't external before it's internal. You got to start measuring your progress by how you feel on the inside. Do you feel alive? Do you feel blessed? Do you feel successful? Does everything you have within you come from things that are tangible or the intangibles? Real wealth isn't something that you can see. It's something that you feel and experience. And if it's something you see, it's tied to a vision. And if it's tied to a vision, it's tied to a people. So you got to ask yourself daily, did I handle this situation better than I did the last time? If you find yourself in a similar situation, did I handle it better than I did the last time? If the answer is yes, then that's growth. That means that you are starting to let go. That means that you are creating capacity for you to see something different so that the life that you desire becomes, manifested and into fruition. See, transformation doesn't happen in a single breakthrough moment. It takes time. One step at a time, one day at a time, being patient, waiting, observing the lilies and the flowers as you take a walk. While you are being present, everything around you is starting to work out because you're doing what you're supposed to do. It happens in thousands of quiet reflections and reiterations that make you wiser, that make you malleable, and that makes you stronger. That's when you'll get the message of, hey, it's time for you now to start that business. It's time for you now to get funding. It's time for you now to get the right partners because you became the person that you desired to align yourself with. You became that person. You didn't fall to victimization because people told you no. You made a decision to reflect and say, hey, I can do better. There's something inside of me that needs to be worked on. What is it? Expose me to me. See, you're not who you were yesterday, and you're definitely not who you were last year. And that's something to be proud of. Every reflection is a small resurrection. You're dying to the old version of yourself so something greater can arise. It's that seed that we talked about, that seed that emerges out of reflection. It's that seed that you can speak life to and it becomes golden. It becomes golden for your future and it starts right now. So today, I want you to write this down. What do I need to let go of to grow? I want you to be truthful with yourself. I want you to be honest. Because what you don't release will eventually replace your peace. And I've learned that peace means everything. So know this: reflection is the mirror that shows you your progress, and peace is the fruit that proves it is working. That's right. So let it go so that you can grow. This is where transformation begins, not where life changes, but this is where you change. So I challenge you to let go once again so that you can grow. That's total release. Thank you for joining the Total Release Podcast. If you heard something today that meant something to you, share it because somebody you know needs to hear it. God bless.